The following translated quotation is from a speech delivered by, let's call him Ron, to the Knesset in June 2007. Professor Feuerstein and his methods are dangerous. They make people see the good in themselves and believe in their abilities. Like in my case, when I arrived at the Institute, I never dreamed that I would be here today. As far as I was concerned, the goal was to gain only a basic human ability, like reading an article about Maccabi Tel Aviv on Shabbat. It's not that I couldn't read, but my impatience made it almost impossible. Hello, I'm an IDF veteran. I suffered a very severe right frontal injury, and to those of you who don't know what that means, the major significance is that you lose cognitive and social skills. One of the times I really behaved badly, I was called to talk to the psychiatrist at Levenstein. During the conversation, I understood that this time I really crossed the line and people's feelings were hurt. I said I was sorry and asked for forgiveness. And I think the psychiatrist's reaction saved my life. I understood from his reaction that he hadn't acknowledged my ability to make choices, and so he didn't expect me to have the ability to apologize. As soon as I got out of that talk, I told my parents that I wasn't going to do my rehabilitation there. Then we met Reuven Feuerstein. He called me to his office after hours of evaluation. When I got upstairs, his secretary told me, "You have to wait a few minutes, he's finishing an important meeting." You need to understand that I had no patience for anything, and I had just finished hours of evaluation. I smiled at her and kicked the door and walked in. And Reuven's reaction amazes me to this day when I think about it. "I've been waiting for you all morning. Where have you been?" During the meeting, Reuven told me how smart I am and what a bright future awaits me. Anyway, I thought he's a little crazy, the story of Reuven's life, and on the way out he says to me, "Next time, open the door gently." The first year, I connected dots, but unlike the past, it wasn't technical. The preliminary conversation with the teacher about how to solve the problem allowed me to transfer my conclusions to everyday life. Truthfully, during the first year I didn't notice any great improvement, but in time I noticed that to my surprise, I don't draw attention from my surroundings anymore because of the unusual behavior. And also, I started to enjoy reading papers and magazines, and in the end, I started thinking about the future. From my experience, treatment must include two principles. One, hard work. Secondly, the person being treated must leave the room feeling capable and able, no matter how hard the lesson was. If he left without feeling able, then you as therapists are in trouble. When I contemplate what the method had done for me, I tend to say that it turned me from a not human into a human with disabilities, sometimes even difficult ones. The fact that many disabilities remain does not take away from the enormous success, because after I was released from Levenstein, what they had to say about me was mostly that my growth period was over, and I had to accept and make peace with my level of human function, as it was then, because it was not going to change. That is my base level, they felt. Because of this, the doctors pushed toward treatment in protected structures. Protection working both ways, protect society from me and me from society. I think that if I had not met Reuven Feuerstein, even my parents' unconditional devotion would not have prevented my being committed to a place where I could do no harm to society, but I would also be denied the privilege of being an active part of it. If I had to summarize the essence of the method, Professor Feuerstein would have said, "Give me a smile, curiosity, a thought on any level, and a willingness to work hard together, and we will create a whole human being, emotionally healthy and sound of mind." The International Center for the Enhancement of Learning Potential, ICELP, well, their story is the story of humanity struggling for its life and soul. Who are human beings? Who are we? Who is that newborn baby? Who is that elderly lady sitting waiting for a bus that never seems to come? Are we, with our thoughts, our feelings, our desires and behavior patterns, simply creations of our own minds and nervous systems? Are we just intricate robots run by rigid genetic codes? Are people born with a flawed chromosome system, doomed to be permanently handicapped? Are people whose brains were injured in road accidents doomed to remain dumb and handicapped for the rest of their lives? Professor Reuven Feuerstein, founder of ICELP, consistently and undauntedly states that human beings are modifiable, that the most important human characteristic is a person's ability to change his or her functioning, intelligence, emotions, and behavior. Human beings are open systems, not products of obtuse, intransigent genetic codes. Professor Feuerstein has devoted his entire life to advancing human beings toward realizing their ability to change and to develop. The film that you are about to see will introduce you to a small selection of population groups helped by Professor Feuerstein's methods and by ICELP's devoted professional staff. You will see a variety of people who are very different from each other, but what they really had in common was their need to change. And the common denominator underlying all the stories is that they all changed thanks to the special know-how developed by Professor Feuerstein and implemented at ICELP.
Children with educational problems, whether due to their background or some disability, are often excluded from mainstream school. For the last 50 years, Professor Reuven Feuerstein has been using mental exercises to help reintegrate such children. Now his program is being applied to help children with autism and those recovering from brain injury.
By any standards, Professor Reuven Feuerstein is a remarkable man. At an age when most people would be content to put their feet up, he still works tirelessly to help those neglected by mainstream education. His own grandchild is among hundreds of thousands all over the world to benefit from Professor Feuerstein's groundbreaking approach.
I don't teach children to read, but I make them able to learn to read. I don't teach them mathematics at all, but I give them the tools by help of which they will be able to learn mathematics.
Jerusalem. It's a holy city for 3 major world religions and for millennia has been a place of pilgrimage. In recent years, thousands of children from all over the world have come here for another reason, because it was here that Professor Feuerstein set up the International Center for the Enhancement of Learning Potential. Children who come here have a variety of learning difficulties, from emotional problems to Down syndrome, which haven't responded to conventional teaching. Here they get intensive tuition based around Professor Feuerstein's unique program of mental exercises. He believes everyone, whatever their problem or disability, has the capacity to learn.
The human being shows a plasticity of his mind that enables him to overcome a variety of difficulties. Early childhood problems, deprivation, mental conditions, emotional conditions, and to modify himself.
A world away from Jerusalem, this is Bahia in Brazil. It's here that Professor Feuerstein faces his biggest test, to help normal children achieve their potential. Bahia is the first place in the world to use Feuerstein's method in every state school.